Hey there, thanks for joining us at the Rabbit Hole of Research, where you'll learn a few facts that you can impress your friends with at a party. Hey, welcome back to the Rabbit Hole of Research. Down here in the basement studio, you've got me, Joe.
You got Nick.
We've got Nick.
Georgia.
We've got Georgia. We're all crewed up down here, all in person, surviving, living.
Yeah, so we're just making it through.
Hunkering down.
Just trying to make it through the winter months.
Make it through the winter months. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So in this episode, we do have a guest with us.
Well, hello there.
Over here. So if you'd like to introduce yourself so people hear your voice, know who you are.
Hello, everyone. I'm Phrique. I am a Splatterpunk author, new-ish. We're in that space where it's been about a year and a half, so, well, intermediate, I guess. Yeah, so kind of new, but in that year and a half, I put out like 5 books, so.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Cranking them out.
Yeah. I'm having fun, I'll just say that.
Yeah. So, yeah, we're going to dig into fear, phobias, psychology, and splatterpunk, how all these come together a little bit, so.
It's kind of unusual for us to have a horror episode outside of October.
I know, yeah. This year, just the way the calendar works, we only get to release 2 episodes in October. So we got to find other places to get our fix in.
We could always talk about horror.
Yeah, so we can talk about whatever we want. It's our podcast.
Who's going to stop us?
That's right. Those sponsors are going to start protesting.
Yeah, that's right. All our sponsors. Who are those sponsors, Nick?
Yeah. We got I think we got a new one coming out soon.
Oh my gosh.
I heard the episode about the hot sauce ones, and I'm like, now I got to look these up.
Oh,
so
yeah.
You guys,
slasher sauce. Yeah, Jesse and the slasher sauce.
You guys did a very good job with marketing, because I'm like, damn, I don't even need hot sauce like that, but I need to look.
Yeah, they're really good. Yeah, that fruit cellar one is really tasty.
I think we've pretty much gone through all of our. Yeah.
I'm fresh out.
Yeah.
Not fresh out. It's been out for a minute.
We got to have them on again. Then we get some free hot sauce. All right. Well, I got,
you got a list?
Well, actually, this episode, I don't really have a list.
What?
I don't have, but I do have my.
He's got a monologue.
I got my monologue.
Oh,
you guys want to hear it?
I'm terrified of this.
All right, so here we go. Let's get into this. You're reading in bed. The house is quiet, dark, doors locked, safe. You know the book in your hands is just ink and paper, but your heart is racing, palms sweating, skin goose fleshing. Every muscle in your body is tensed for a threat that doesn't exist.
My, what kind of book are you reading?
You could close the book, turn on that overhead light, but you don't. But you creep closer to this feeling of fear that is supposed to protect you. It's an ancient alarm designed to keep you alive. It screams at you to run from the snake, away from the cliff, the predators in the dark, or the flesh that squirms with maggots. But sometimes we run towards it instead, paying to be chased. Through popcorn, buttered fingers held up to our eyes, we watch the scene we know will make us sick. We seek out the exact sensation that in any other context we'd call trauma. Same chemicals, same brain regions firing, same body brace for harder. But one is debilitating phobia, and the other is a Tuesday night movie with friends. So what's the difference between terror and entertainment? And what happens when the genre decides to find out how far you can push it before the difference disappears?
It's a good question. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're posing some questions there, I think, at the end.
Yeah. What do you think?
I think once you see it right there in front of you, that's when it becomes the major difference.
Yeah.
Like,
what do you mean?
Well, I mean, if I see something on the screen, I'm not scared. I watch horror movies enough to where I'm like, yeah, that's fine.
So it's more the things you can't see.
It's
that's scary.
More the things that are physically in the room with me. Like,
you're afraid of people.
People are pretty scary.
Yeah.
So what do you think, Phrique? You write in the genre. Do you want to define splatterpunk for folks who aren't familiar with that genre?
Sure. Well, first off, that was, like I said, lovely. You literally hit like all my like brain buttons that like every little thing just like I'm an evolutionary psychology nerd. Nice. So like all perfect. So splatterpunk, for anyone that doesn't know, is basically like a genre of extreme horror, splatterpunk, similar, kind of like brother and sister, maybe cousins, but extreme horror is literally for shock value. You know, they're just trying to get as much sensory and to just really just rev up everything. And Splatterpunk is basically all that, but for a reason, like with a moral, with some kind of commentary. There's more allegory, nuance, stuff like that. And it's very funny because I even find when I'm trying to not write, but I'm not trying to put a moral in, there still is one there. And personally, I have OCPD, so it is not normal LCD. It's actually like more foundational for me, where the minute I see something, I already know, my brain already is it categorized where it's going to be, and it's just kind of one of those, you know, it's not the worst mental illness to have, but it's even in my writing, you can tell, because my first book was called Gig of the Damned, which is a giallo about drag queens. And so I'm telling you, I'm killing these 12 drag queens. On the back, there's a kill list. So I'm telling you, they're going to die. Like, we're not mincing words with that. But it's the first chapter is my main character is gambled on a fart. And then, which is my favorite drag queen name ever. and then the next chapter is Die in a Fire. And then the next chapter is gambled on a fart. Next chapter is Reba Dirty. So everything's just, my brain just, that's kind of how it needs to go back and forth. Like, my tattoos are all the same on both sides, like they mirror. So I have to have everything symmetrical. So it's just funny because it's like, it's so, like, even there's 2 stories I'm working on now, and I'm like, this is going to be more extreme horror because there's not much about, I can talk about it because I've talked about it before, but it's called Rearranged Guts, and it's going to be about basically a serial killer who uses Grindr to find his victims, and he basically explodes them. Like, he gets in there and then he finds ways to just, he likes to see their insides. So,
right.
But,
and
so I'm thinking, like, this is just gross. This is just, you know, but then the more I'm getting into it, it's like, he has a lot of internalized homophobia. His father did X, Y, Z. And so it kind of so I accidentally put a moral in anyways, because it's just a lot of my stories is when you hold things in, it manifests.
Right.
Sesame Timbers was about Mother Superior who had these urges, and she was told by the church in so many words, you can't have these urges. And then it just so happens a lesbian lumberjack falls into the convent and has amnesia, because of course she has amnesia. And the only way for her to get her memory back is to have sex with all the nuns. So all this is going on in the convent. And Mother Superior...
hold on, can we put a pin really quick here?
Sure.
Is that a known cure to amnesia? Is that, when I watch Overboard, today have Goldie sex and everyone?
Scientifically proven?
Have I missed that research bit, like, in there, like, where it's,
what, sex with nuns cures everything, right?
It could hurt, right?
It's funny you say that too, because, like, thinking of, like, old TV shows, because I love, I watch all the old, 1980s, 1970s movies and stuff.
Can you please stop calling 70s and 80s old? That just, when I go old, I think you're going to go 40s, 30s. I'm like, geez, man.
I agree with you. 60s and 70s is old.
Late 1900 movies. I will go. But, like, they always talk about someone had amnesia and there was, like, quicksand, things that don't really come up nowadays. But for some reason, that's kind of what it was. I kind of wanted to be more of a grindhousey feel. So I had to bring that back. But then, because we're introduced to the character, whose name is Paulina, and so she's a lumberjack. I was legit trying to go for Paul Bunyan. I think her last name is Bunyan. Yeah, I had to do it. But yeah, like, we meet her where she's basically like a lesbian douchebag. She's just known for sleeping with everybody. So that's kind of was her MO. But she's a lumberjack, so she's also, chainsaw in hand, and just, she's in the convent and she lost her memory, and just little ticks of what she used to be she was handy. She was handy. So, but yeah, but it was mainly about Mother Superior she's like she would flag rape. I don't know what the word's not coming to me, where she would, they beat themselves with rope and all that. He was part of that, but she took it a little too far, where it became a little S&M-y, like that line where are you enjoying this? So
you don't want to get too much enjoyment out of your swings. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, so that's what I want to touch on that. But then also, all of this sex is going on around her when she's trying to like keep her urges at bay. And it's just kind of what happens when you keep stuff,
Kind of buried.
bottled up. It's going to come out one way or another. So that was a really long explanation.
No,
but that Splatterpunk is whatever you want it to be. But I said from the beginning, I'm going to write the gayest shit ever, because one thing about Splatterpunk is that there's no rules. You can say whatever you want. I'm a big fan of the punk part of it, where we're kind of being told to be quiet, to not make a fuss.
Right.
Don't wave that rainbow flag too much. So then that's why my covers literally say violent AF, bloody AF, gay AF, because
that's what it is. Well, from the evolutionary point of it, the brain, our hardware and software, is pretty ancient. It's 100,000 years old. It hasn't evolved that much. And a lot of our fear structure is based on keeping us safe. I was hinted at that. And so the fight or flight, that's our quick response, 12 milliseconds, you got to go. And then we have longer responses to threats. And so really the idea here, and somewhat Splatterpunk, in my thinking also, is that you're trying to funnel modern day issues through this and hijack this very primitive kind of fear structure. Your studies and in your writing, are you playing with that line? Do you see the line or that?
Yeah, it's almost like when, I hate to go back to the nuns again, but like when you...
We're not going to get sponsored by the nuns.
I thought this episode was sponsored by the Catholic Church. Is that not right?
No, you guys know we're in the same area. I was forced to go to Andrean, so I was forced to go to Catholic school. And it shows, because this is what happens when you force
Right.
when you force the Pisces to do anything. Oh, I'm going to fight. But think about when a nun is like slapping someone's knuckles because they want to get that message in there. So I guess I have to get your attention. And so that's kind of like a big slap on the knuckles, because it's, I'm trying. This is what I'm trying to say. I've done like a bunch of short stories that are more bizarro. And I did one called, "Oh No, I Got Exploded Baby All Over My Favorite Sweater," which one of my favorite titles, but it's legit. And I kill 5 babies in it. That sounds horrible. Like I should be ashamed, but I promise you, I do it in the funniest way possible. You will laugh.
Is there a funny way to do that?
I feel horrible for laughing, but it is an allegory for, these are terrible, like, influencer parents who aren't paying attention to their kids. They literally put them in front of this baby monitor that basically watches them, and it also puts a little something there. It wasn't tested all the way, and they put something in their brain that makes the babies want to off themselves, but to get away from parents that they shouldn't have been born to, because Roe versus Wade and all that. So again, no matter what, there's always going to be a reason for it, whether I like it or not. But
I feel like horror has always had that underlining politicalness.
No,
to
you're
it.
right.
Like,
Yeah.
throughout all of it, it's always had something behind it.
I mean, Romero. Said,
Like,
Go ahead.
yeah, it's like he wanted the zombies for, like, I when I read about all that, I'm like, okay, so now I feel less crazy because that's just what my voice is. But I know how to get your attention with lesbian nuns, and then I'll get my message in there that way.
And I think horror does give that space to experiment in, because you're pushing it to the edge and you're towing that line. There's studies where you have to have enough of this kind of fear in it to engage and keep people there, the brain active, so you're not going to tip over to the running out when the people come for Nick in the theater. He can stay on the edge of his fear and ride it. Sorry, I'm pointing you out. You called it out earlier.
was that on? Were we recording during that one?
I don't know, maybe.
I don't know.
People will all hear it and post edit.
They're going to be very confused.
But yeah, well, Nick said that he doesn't get scared in movies, but the people scare him.
No, we were recording.
Yeah. Well, we have a little aside here. No, but as you go forward, the point I was making, you guys screwed me up now.
Oh, no.
Yeah. You guys did this on purpose. This is my phobia. I have
This
a
is
phobia
your
of this.
greatest fear,
I'm like
isn't
actually
it?
sleeping. I'm going to wake up and be like, oh, God, man, I was recording and had that there. So No, but I was saying about the kind of you ride that line between the fear, keeping the brain engaged, the cortex there, funneling through, and the person is, well, I'm safe. I know I'm safe. And so I can experience this very scary or very fearful or situational scary, right? Because we see a lot of that with social issues where you're putting into that and then empathizing, right? So if you, especially with body horror, not only that kind of gets your brain engaged and you begin to empathize with that character, and you go to the next level of actually feeling what they're feeling and having that very visceral experience as you're watching and your skin is crawling and you're in that moment. What would it be like? And your mind starts going, what if I was in that situation? And then everything washes away.
I think it's a way to, like you said, safely look fear in the eye,
Yeah.
I love seeing the parts where it's, oh, you just messed up and I know you have without even going forward in this film.
Right.
Like having those, they are reactions that people would have, but it's always something that's like, you messed up. I know you messed up. Like everyone knows it, but would that be something that you would make that mistake during the moment or no?
Well, I mean, right. And that's the craft of the writer, right? Or the storyteller, that will they show their hand too much, right? So if you show too early and the audience can guess, right? Because really, where you also have your brain's a good prediction engine. So your brain's predicting what's going to happen. And so this is where the fear comes in. And so if your brain can predict what's happening, and you're not going to be fearful of that. You're not going to think it's even, you'll probably start laughing at it because now you've realized, oh, I know exactly what's going to happen. So if you're writing to that and you're really going to show and lean into the comedic value of it, then great. But if you're really trying to build suspense and the fear, then you really actually want to not, you want to fool people by doing the thing. I expect the creature's in the closet because that's what I expect. And then when it's not, and then it jumps out somewhere else, that's when you go, oh crap, like I had this all wrong. So I think that's a good writer versus a lazy writer that goes with tropes. And
which
that's
I
kind
think
of goes
Cabin in the
through, so.
Woods is the perfect example of this. And I think I've mentioned it
You
before.
have.
Bring this up, and
I
haven't seen it
love
yet.
this film
Jeez
so
Louise.
much.
It is great.
Okay.
is-
Pause this so
a
we can
must-see.
go watch this movie.
Yeah,
We'll be right
everyone
We'll be
back.
right
stop
back.
listening immediately. Go watch Cabin in the Woods. All right. They're back, I think.
Yeah. Woof. That
But
was
no,
great. No, joking. Was that for
I get what you're saying just about that, especially pattern recognition. Like we're geared to notice patterns. I feel sometimes that my brain notices them more. Like I am legit a quality inspector. So that is my job I can be reading, writing, whatever at work. I work like 12-hour shifts. I work at a steel mill, unfortunately. And I'm legit looking for defects in the steel, and my brain I can be in this book and my eye will notice the little blip and I know, okay, I just did my job. So good job. But I think that we all do that. And so, especially when I'm writing, I know, and I've watched so many, I literally do basically watch a horror movie a day, if possible, or Giallo, because I'm a nerd for those. But I know what I would expect to happen. And sometimes I want that. I want the trope because I want to kind of give an homage. I love an homage, but then also I know what you're going to expect. So then part of me wants to do a little, I'm going to mess with that. So I'm going to throw a red herring in. I'm going to make it, you think that something's going to happen. And one thing with me that I don't know if it's a bad thing or not, but I laugh at everything. I literally make it, you should not be laughing at things that I'm writing about. And I'm the guy that I will laugh during a giggle during a funeral. I'm in trouble because it's just, nope, I got to get out of here right now. And then I'll laugh even more because I know I'm not supposed to. So it's just,
and that reminds me of the character Franny in Stephen King's The Stand. And that was like her character flaw, that she would laugh during these very serious moments. And so when you said that, I was like, wow, that's a character in the classic horror.
And I mean, that would be me. I would be, my final words are gonna be something smart aleck that I should not have said, but I gotta get it out. So, But yeah, that's a lot of, I do throw a lot of humor in. Even when like I tried to do in my first stories it was about like a priest that were getting hunted down by this girl that they had locked up and said that she was possessed when it was just she knows their secrets. So that was supposed to be my most, I really wanted Grindhouse. I wanted to be very just, gritty, and we're not no jokes. We're not laughing. And I said something about the priests like pancake ass or something. And people like that's the funniest thing I've ever read. And I'm like, you weren't supposed to
Throw it
laugh.
in there, right. Well, you gotta have.
That's just what my brain does. I have to throw those. It's just, but a lot of people, I like that the humor takes you. I usually do it. I just killed like 12 drag queens, and I make you love them. And people, that's one of the things I get a lot of compliments on, is that I gave you 12 characters, but everyone has their own voice. Everyone knows what they look like. They're very distinct, and people get connected to them, even knowing I'm literally going to kill them. I told you ahead of time. So then I usually throw humor in, and so in Gig of the Damned, it's the killer is wearing a bedazzled ski mask. So it's like a hot pink bedazzled ski mask with leather trench coat, the gloves, the straight razor, because it's the giallo. And because I thought, drag queens, if you put a ski mask on a drag queen, they're kind of going to look the same. You won't really know who is under there. So, but each girl, before they die, for all 12 of them, I worked in the joke that they all say in one way or another, someone got a bedazzler for Christmas. And so like, and it's purposely there to kind of throw you off and kind of make you like, oh, I'm laughing, I can relax. And they get the face sliced off. So that's kind of, I think it's handy, and I like doing it. But, yeah,
using humor to break the tension, once again, to throw off that your prediction, your brain's working to figure out, and when's the next horrific thing going to happen. And then if you have something else, look over here, brain. And I was waving my left hand.
Is that for hand wavium? That's for
hand wavium. That's right.
Yeah, I wasn't sure.
You're right. Okay, I gotta get some other symbol. Wave my foot.
The diversion of it is over here.
Yes, it's over here. But I think the horror part of it is interesting, because you see that in some horror, some you don't. Like it
really depends.
Yeah,
on what kind of horror they're going for. And for the more intense ones, you do find comedy in it. Right. Just because of how over the top they can get.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
Like the more over the top, you want to have something to cut through it, because it helps you keep going, keep reading, keep watching.
And it's like the absurdity of it.
If you're having already something super absurd with the amount of killing getting done, want something like.
Also, if you're riding that the fear train.
Fair fear.
The fairy fear train.
The fairy fear.
But if you're on that line, and you could easily tip over to where you can't watch it anymore, you have to leave, you have to cover your eyes, you can't enjoy the story, you got to put the book down, then I think it's that intensity there. You got to actually throw in this humor that ratchet down a little bit and give the person's mind, the viewer, the reader, a chance to catch up with everything, and then have that. And if you're throwing this, you said you throw in a line, you got bedazzler for Christmas, then that repetitive line, you're almost expecting it, and you want it's like the cheesy one-liners, and so like what's going to be the one-liner, and then it tamps it down to a level where, once again, it brings the energy down in your fear, your brain, your cortex can catch up, so that you don't hit a fight or flight response and freaks you out. So your brain can then go, okay, let's process this. Let's take advantage of the machinery that's, running Windows 93. And then you go and.
Oh, is that what you're running over there?
That's what we're running.
I thought they were the big flat discs.
A floppy disk.
The big floppy.
That's what they're called. They're called
My
floppy
bad.
disks.
I thought they were flat discs.
They're actually 5 1/4 floppy disks. Yeah. I'd explain the little save symbol that you see, the little icon of save. It's like that was actually discs we used to save on, like the floppy disk, the 3.5 inch. 5 1/4. Okay, that's a fear here. I'm fearing here a little bit.
That was all I was going for. Let's just hit the fears for Joe.
A fear of.
A fear, yes, that you have.
of absurdity, have you guys seen The Monkey, and what did you guys think of that if you did?
I thought it was funny. I
I
was
loved
enjoying it. As I said, like I love the horror, and I can get some good humor out of it.
The
Like-
monkey? Sorry.
Yeah, that came out what, like a year or two ago now?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, a year or two ago, it was. I wanted to think that it was based off of a Stephen King short story.
Oh, Monkey Shine? That's the
It was
short story?
it's just the monkey, and I think it has the little like toy monkey on it.
Yeah.
I want to say it was about a year or two.
2025. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I think wasn't the story Monkey Shines, was that? Or that the other horror movie?
well, that's the older one.
Yeah, there was an older
Still in
one,
the
Monkey
past there.
Shines. That, sorry,
from the
Jesus Louise.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah,
The monkey is
from
a
the
Stephen
late
King
80s. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Monkey
Yeah.
Shines was like the late 80s. There was a movie called Monkey Shines, but okay.
And now, is this one related to the Monkey Shines?
No, I don't. I think
No.
it's different.
It's totally
Yeah,
I think
a
so.
It's like
different.
a cursed.
Yeah.
It's like a cursed little like monkey toy. Like
Those are creepy.
That's like
all
the-
you had to show.
I thought
The
about
trilogy
getting
of
Joe
horror.
that for Christmas, actually.
That doesn't freak me. The trilogy of terror. Do you guys remember
Those
that?
are-
Was the
That was good.
that was the mini series back early 80s, I think, late 70s.
I think my
We're
dad
going-
owned that
like a
on
little-
DVD.
That's like a theme.
My
for
thing
this.
was a little the doll, the
It was
African
like a
doll,
wooden-
doll,
it was
and it had a
like-
little tag on it that if you it says don't
Oh.
remove this tag, and then
Yep.
it comes to life.
Of course,
yeah.
you remove it.
was
yeah.
that the Karen?
Yeah.
You know,
It got-
yep.
It almost
I'm not
got
doing it
banned.
'cause I'm on camera, but I remember seeing that as a little kid, and when he did that,
Right. That's right. Yes. Yeah. It almost
And
banned.
people
Yeah.
freaked out.
They almost
Yeah.
banned it. Like they had it, and so it was the first time where I think a lot of sponsors backed out, and so the network just put it out, and they had to change the ending to make it more resolved. But that episode in particular, that series, yeah, it's pretty. It holds up. We were just watching it not too long ago, and it's like, wow, that's probably not
Yeah.
something you should watch when you're a little kid. But
I mean, I
No,
did.
I went to see the thing in the movie when I was 7, so that's where I go in.
Yeah, there's like that's first. This is again. I try my best to not come off as such like a pretentious douchebag, but unfortunately, it's kind of in my DNA that it does. But because you guys, if you grew up out here, back in the day on channel 50, they would play horror movies on the weekend. It would just be a random one, and like my mom would be working and my dad would just
Oh, hold on, something.
I just put it on, and one of the first horror movies I can ever remember watching was Dario Argento's Phenomena, and it was on, but it was, and I mean I want to say I was probably about 6 or 7, and I knew because I was getting so scared that you're not supposed to be watching this. This is going to mess you up. If you watch this, don't tell mom or dad. And of course, like I'm seeing girls getting their heads shoved through windows, and heads sliced off, and then there's like a monkey, and then there's gigantic scissors, and then there's a guy with a messed up face. And of course, my mom comes home, and I'm trying to explain all this to her, and she's just looking at me like, he's gonna need so much therapy, and which is true, but it had a lasting effect because here I am, and like that's one of my favorite movies now, where I'm like an Argento nerd, and I watch Giallos all day, and I love the old like any horror from like the 70s and 80s, and even some like late 60s one I could watch all day. It could be the most terrible, and I still enjoyed my time. If you show me a movie from 2 years ago, I'm like, I want my hour and a half back. It was just, it's not there. Like I make fun of the 1900s all the time, but that's also like when the best movies were. So I can't. But that's why I said The Monkey was great, because it was just so absurd, and the deaths were so just almost like a Final Destination type deal, where it's just they're so absurd. So
I love the Final Destination. They're so funny.
That's one of my favorite ones. So I
That
work in a
is pure
steel mill.
comedy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Every one of them.
They don't-
I think I've only
Like-
seen the first one. You got stopped after that.
Like that is one movie that did give me a phobia from I want to say it was Final Destination 3. Where,
Yep, that's the one.
yeah,
That's-
the log coming off the truck and
Oh,
just
right.
smashing
Yes.
the guy in the face. I'm
Yes.
like, the
Yes.
amount of times I've been behind a truck that has a bunch of logs on it, I'm like, this is the day.
And
I've
then
been
for the
prepared
new
for
one-
this.
For the new one, they had trucks driving around with the logs.
Yeah.
and that
Really? Oh wow.
like it's genius. That's because of
You're
course
expecting
that,
it, right? Right.
and it's just
Right.
you see that, and it's the Final Destinations. a lot of people don't like them. Those are the ones that like I have to mentally prepare myself for them because I know my anxiety is going to be amped.
Yeah.
And again, I work in a steel mill. They tell us people die there probably about once a month.
Oh yeah, those
And,
places are terrifying.
Yeah.
like we literally have a memorial when that you
Wow.
drive past because you're told that's why they get paid the big money and all that because people die there all the time. So the Final Destination ones hit me all the time because I'm like, there's so
There
many
it
of these
is.
things that could just, yeah.
We
but
have that.
I mean, but I love them though. But yeah.
I was going to say, but with phobia, like kind of the way fear without control is a phobia, fear with control is entertainment. And so it's funny at that moment you're saying with the logs, like you
Yeah.
have these that generate this phobia. And so you have this, now you've lost control because when you get behind a truck, your brain's, I've seen this. So instead of, and this raises a really interesting other point is that, people think, oh, exposure will desensitize you, but it can have the other effect where you become sensitive.
That's
And you can
true.
you can go into the movie thinking,
Like-
oh, I'm a
I had
safe
never thought
space.
about
Right,
that
right,
danger.
Right,
Oh, great.
right. And then you have it, and then all of a sudden now you come out and it's, hold on, I'm actually more freaked out, and you can't, how do you remove this fear, like this very modern fear? And a lot of it, really, it's interesting, and this is that the I keep saying old software, our brain, old hardware, old software, because, a lot of our phobias are related to spiders and fear of falling, heights, these things that would literally kill you. But now more people die from car accidents, guns, not spiders. And so really, why aren't you don't see people with phobia of guns or phobia of, a
Well,
car.
we have Shark
so-
Week now. Like
Right. I
people
mean,
used to be
right.
terrified of sharks.
Right.
Isn't, I don't know the definition of phobia, but is it phobia?
I know Joe didn't give a list.
I know you
What's
need it.
the list? Yeah.
We need more definitions. But
Yeah.
is that like when it's a phobia, it's not realistic? Is that?
I don't know.
the
It's not
part of
real.
it,
It's a,
or
well, we have a, yeah. Don't you freak?
Exactly.
You're here. This is the
A
expertise.
a phobia would be when it causes distress, when it affects you and it causes you to go out of your way to avoid it, then it would be considered a phobia. And yeah, I agree with what you said about how, so like a lot of people like germaphobes, we have this, like, I love to be repulsed and I love to write like repulsive, gross, nasty. And
Yeah.
that's kind of one of my claim to fame is the details that I put in. Like King of the Damned is actually pretty tame, but the amount of detail that I go into with the deaths and the injuries, that's just one of my mutant powers, I guess, but that's what I'm known for. But when it's like the disgusting, and it's coming from inside because I'm such a neat freak germaphobe. And again, I work at a mill and that they think it's the funniest thing in the world. But like my repulsion level is so easily triggered. And that's another one of those that's evolutionary because
That's right.
dirt equals that's how you get the plague. That's how you can get XYZ. That's how you get food poisoning, and you're watching, I think they just redid Fear Factor and they had making smoothies with rotten bile and like brain matter and all this stuff from just like coagulated pig's blood. Then that's it in our DNA.
Disgust. Disgust and fear are kind of tethered. Yeah. Yep. So disgust is, the germ contamination phobia is disgust. That's our primal. That's where the disgust comes from, and then fear
that's a safety thing because then
very
it's
much
supposed
safety,
to
right.
keep you from licking rocks. And
That's right.
stuff.
Don't lick rocks, Nick.
No, you should lick rocks. This is for science.
You don't get superpowers that way unless you get a suit.
Know that.
You get a suit and a meal, then you lick the rocks and you'll get superpowers.
Hey, I'll suck on a rock. Don't worry.
There's some people that would think, okay, well then, but if I do go lick like a CTA handle,
Oh no!
No,
strengthen
first of all,
my-
you just have to grab the gum from underneath it. It's free gum under every bench. Guarantee it still has a little flavor in it.
Yeah.
now that could strengthen your immune system and make you healthy.
Well, it could
It
do a
makes
lot.
you a
Sheesh.
superhuman. Yes.
But that was like
I don't
Elf on Elf, which is a comedy. When he starts eating the used gum, that disgusted. It was like you were like, I don't know if I can watch this. Like, oh my god, you're like,
But I
what is
think
he doing?
The childish childishness
Right.
of him like really cut
Right.
through on that
Well,
moment
Right,
because
right.
if
He
it
was-
was a child doing it, you'd be like, yeah, that totally makes sense. They
He's
would
just
think,
totally naive.
And you have that,
Exactly.
you have that. I mean, it's also the context of it, right? Because that's a comedy, and you go, if you change the context in any way, that can easily be like this horror scene. That's the killer. That person there.
but you could do that with
They're
damn near
gonna slaughter,
anything.
right,
Have you
right.
seen Friends without the laugh track? It makes Ross
I
seem
don't
like an
watch Friends,
absolute
sorry.
psychopath.
Sorry, don't watch Friends.
Just watch the clips of it without the laugh track.
Stop trying to
It's-
make me watch Friends, man.
It makes it like tenfold,
Right.
Yeah, I can imagine.
hundredfolds better.
Yes.
Like I would not watch it if it wasn't that funny, because you're like, he is psychotic.
Yeah. Yeah.
My
No,
teacher just made us watch the Star Wars ending with the music and without it to test that out. Because I'm in this semester I'm in mass communication, mass media and communication, and then the psychology of marketing, which both great classes. Like I'm a nerd for this stuff, so it just so happens I need it for my degree also. But yeah, she's having us do all that stuff where it's like, yep, once you take the music out, they're just kind of standing there in front of these, like they're getting and then of course Chewbacca's still making his random noises, but
Right,
yeah,
right,
it does.
right.
But I mean, yeah, it does make it makes the movie, it makes the moment. So I get it.
Yeah, you
I
add
don't-
all that. I mean, music really does. I mean, so if you change, you go to a minor key versus a major key in music, that changes the whole scene. So it could be the happiest scene ever, but if the music isn't a minor key, which is traditionally thought as sad, depressing tonality, you then feel internally our bodies and will kind of respond to that and set that context up for you. So really in movies, that's why in the award shows, people that do sound and all that, they should get their flowers, because that sets, as Nick's saying, this sets the tone of the scenes that have that impact. And that's in movies. When you have a book, you don't really have a soundtrack. So
Yeah, like
your words
when
are...
I'm writing, like I'm trying to, I do want to set the mood where it's okay. Is this happy and upbeat, or is it's making? But then at the same time, again, I'm a weirdo. I'm a freak, so I'm gonna. I've had deaths come in the middle of just, oh yay, this is
right.
baby shower.
Yeah.
But
That's what
it's
you do
like,
with...
I mean,
I was going to say that's what you do with music too. So you can be very happy, uplifting, and then head goes rolling across the floor, and everyone's looking at it like, "What just happened? We were just playing good time."
I think this is where the
and
Christmas
it's-
horror comes in perfectly.
Which horror?
Yep.
Christmas horror,
Oh,
like
okay.
Santa's
Right,
sleigh.
right, that's right. Yes.
I know we
Right,
passed it
right.
already, but it always has that jolly music, and then Santa's putting something through someone's head.
Well,
Right,
that's a new thing that they're doing a lot of, like on Fallout. Like they have these scenes where it's these just really horrible things are happening, or
Right.
really scary things, and then the music is
That's
like
right.
That's just the
Totally.
game in general.
But
Like,
I love that.
That-
I love
that
that,
is-
like where it's at,
Yeah.
you know.
because when you're playing the game, you have the
Dichotomy
radio
of-
on
Right. Oh,
your
I see.
pit boy. So whatever's playing while you're doing these crazy things is
Yeah.
just how the scene is.
I just love that. Yeah.
I was going to say, like, also you were saying about the '80s in horror in the '80s.
Way back when.
Stop it, man! All right, stop it. But I think you had the psychological. I mean, a lot of them were much more psychological. That was the story. You weren't reliant on CGI and other effects like that. A lot of practical effects, so it felt a little more visceral and real. I'm gonna go to my man John Carpenter and The Thing, and so you go there, and the music, just the tone of that music, just go through there. And you have it. There wasn't really no upbeat. It was winter. It was depressed. You have that. The other one that comes to mind is Event Horizon, which is like a horror ghost ship in space. And the music, but you had the coloring of that. Wasn't that puke greeny, just haze that hung over everything, like in those scenes? And it was like you felt sick a little bit, like going through there. So I think you had that, at least kind of when you play with that, you have the story. And I think a lot of movies now, they're in high def, they're very bright, they don't have that grit to them, and then it pulls you out of the horror a little bit. I don't know. That's my opinion there, and I think they're getting back to some of the grit. I think we're starting to see
Right.
that a little more
Well,
in movies.
the
But
Duffer Brothers came out and said, change these settings on your new
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
fancy
right,
TVs
right.
because it's
Right.
messing up.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Joe, I'm so glad you brought up John Carpenter
Yes.
because he's writing and conducting the score for a video game, Toxic Commander.
Yeah,
I think I
really?
sent it to you. I am so excited to see
Yeah.
how he translate to a video game
Right,
because he
right.
has
Yep.
Right.
such an atmosphere.
Yes, he does.
with him.
Yep. Except the thing he didn't do the music, right? So that was it Reno Marconi?
I don't remember. But yeah, like
Enrico
that is
Marconi.
something that I think will translate so well because he's
I'm gonna get
has
my,
a whole world
Yeah.
to build.
yeah. I'm gonna get my Thing fan card taken, but
I'm
Yeah, probably.
a horror video game nerd. I'm excited for that then because
Yeah.
I didn't even hear about that.
Yeah, I sent it to Joe on Instagram. He doesn't look at anything I send him though.
well, I just go on Instagram now. So little. That's like a horror show in itself, but it's a different topic there.
Georgia, I do have a quick question for you.
Oh, yeah.
When was the first time you saw a horror film?
That's a good question.
Because I know Joe's seen horror young.
Yeah.
Phrique
Yeah.
has seen horror young. I have.
I don't think I saw Too Young.
So you said you went to see? Didn't you go see Alien?
I did. Oh, yeah. I did go see Alien, but I didn't watch it.
What?
I was so scared. No, I was so scared that the whole
Like you did your eyes.
the whole time I was like this,
Georgia.
and I was watching other people reacting to it.
You got to hear it though. You got to
Oh, the
experience it.
sounds
Yeah,
were worse than anything else. All
Once
those-
again, the atmosphere
Yes.
in Alien is haunting as you go through
Yes.
it. But yeah, I was like, I think
Yes,
you told me
I
you saw
did.
Alien,
But
yeah, so,
seriously, I was like, I might as well not have been because I couldn't watch it at all.
yeah. Invasion of Body Snatchers. That's
That was, yeah.
Did you see that?
Fairly young,
Yeah.
but obviously a rerun.
I wasn't going to ask how old you were.
And that's like
During
a classic,
any of
like
these.
body horror. I
I
think you
can
have
tell
that
you
in
my
there.
favorite, one of my very all-time favorite horror movies. Well, I have a couple, and they're very traditional, everybody's favorite, but Rosemary's Baby. Yeah,
definitely.
that's just like it.
Yeah.
And The Shining.
Shining. Yeah,
But, like,
that's right.
How is
saw
your
that, like-
relationship with horror?
What do you
Like-
mean? I don't think
Do you seek it out? Is it something that you're like, oh, if something is there, I'm going to go see it?
I think I might have been to movies. That's hands down. Those are like my favorite movies. You know, I love scary movies, but
I just,
If you got messed up like we got messed up, like
yeah,
that's
I
the
didn't know if there was
epitome,
any
like,
correlation.
no,
yeah.
but as far as reading horror, that's where like fairly new for me. And I want to put it all on Grady Hendrix. I started reading his stuff, and then I just kept reading all of his books and stuff, and then it led to. So I'm really enjoying horror right now.
I think also a lot of people don't get into horror because they are worried about kind of the grossness of it. And it's not all. I was talking to someone about The Thing, and I was like, there are scenes in there and they are emotional, but that's really, you get caught up in the psychology of these people trying to figure out who's real, who's not. In horror, there is this kind of the splatter, there's the slashers. I mean, that genre exists, but there is a horror that comes down, The Shining. You know, it had its scenes, but really it's a psychological examination of cabin fever to someone. And they have the ghost story kind of aspect in there, but really horror has this kind of play. And I think that's really exploring fear and creating a safe space to tell people, oh yeah, there are horror movies that you can go into. And
Well,
they
there's-
are really,
There's so many horrible like monsters and things in real life that it is nice to be able to watch monsters on.
and those monsters are usually personifications of human real fears, right?
But
Like,
there's something comforting about being able to see that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, that's where my little nerd flag flies up because that's one of the main things. Like whenever somebody asks in a little, books of horror group or whatever, that's when I jump in because I'm like, so my theory is like the Schadenfreude of, well, that's happening to them and not me. So that gives you a little brain. And then it's almost like you're giving yourself anxiety as you're reading, watching, but then it's going to come to an end and the lights are going to come on and then you get to leave intact and fine. So then it's almost like a roller coaster where, okay, so I survived that. And for the little anxiety, balls of nerves like me. Like now I just learned, don't run upstairs. And if you see like a glinting knife on a cabinet, on a countertop, let's put that away.
If you could see them, they can see you.
Right. So I take
Yeah.
little, like, I'll say, I'm going to write that down. So now I know, don't ever do
Right.
that.
Right.
For certain, I think there's also, because I was going to go for my PsyD before this whole writing thing came up, and it's a lot more. And then I also found out you have to like intern for 4 years and just.
No, so that's for folks who aren't familiar with the jargon. What is that? PsyD?
A PsyD is just basically a PhD in psychology.
Okay.
But it's
Yeah.
a lot of work,
A
and
PhD.
honestly, it's kind of doing it so I can be Dr. Phrique, and I'm just gonna write books
Right.
about it.
That's
Sounds
kind of
like
cool.
easier.
The doctor part.
But I wanted to do. I mean, I was gonna say. I mean,
So yeah.
research. I looked up I saw you said botany, and then like all that. I'm such a science nerd. It would be so cool. But then when you have to get down to the nitty gritty and like the random testing and all that, I'm just like, I just want to find like the results. It's just, yeah.
I don't want to
Yes.
do it all.
Just cut to the chase.
Well,
Yeah.
academia
Exactly,
is there. No, I think there's some amount of love and horror involved in getting your PhD and making it through there.
Are you
But,
saying
yeah.
that it was a horror story to getting it, or what?
Yeah, sure. Let's go.
Those long nights.
No, it's
Anybody
so-
with a doctor, I completely, I give them all their flowers. I'm like, you went through some hell with that. So I commend you for that. But and then my dissertation was going to be on basically what you talked about, where when did we take this emotion that is literally built into us and turn it into something that we're going on roller coasters to try and
that's right.
bring
Yep.
that our ancestors got when they were trying to like run away from like a saber-tooth tiger. Like, why would
Right.
they're looking at us like, what's wrong with you? Just stay in your house and, hoard grain, don't like, why would you do such a thing? But I think it's interesting to show that what we've done with it. But then I also think like what you talked about, I think we've almost oversensitized ourselves, where the movies from the 80s, they were more subdued and you were able to get more quiet horror moments in, where now it's, if you're not like, splitting someone's head in half, then, and I'm talking about me, I'm the
Yeah.
Right. And
guilty here, because if I don't see someone get their face ripped off, then I'm going to sleep. So
right.
Right.
But
It's like that's the whole that's how Splatterpunk really
Yeah.
came out, because isn't it just like, how far can we take this?
Right.
How much can we show, and how,
Yeah.
know,
Walking that line
right.
of fear and horror and disgust, and kind of
and
blending
is it
that.
also
and
maybe because
there.
of like attention spans now? You know what I mean? Or that there is such a big kill count in almost every movie you see. Like a John Wick movie, when you can't keep
go,
track.
right, yeah.
So
Yeah.
you have to make it more and more.
Well, I think you have also, with a lot of splatter, is the body horror and kind of that aspect of it, and going in there and that transition as you go through. Was it Cronenberg principle about make it slow, make it last, make it vary?
Yeah.
And so you begin to buy into that. And I think that pulls you in, watching this transformation happen in front of you. And in your own mind, it's, I should look away. I don't want that. Like the more, like you said, the more these morals come in, this is not what I want. This is not the path I'm going to take. I'm going to be a better person for seeing this and,
Well, I
and going
hope
through the
so.
experience.
I hope that.
I mean, I guess you could come out. I'm going to go do that. Like,
Oh, I'm gonna go Dexter someone.
let's go. But I think the body horror is really that aspect. And it doesn't, I mean, it's a look away thing. I should look away, but really you're like,
It's watching a train wreck.
Right. That's right. Yeah. Yeah. And you see it in The Fly with Jeff Goldblum and Gina Davis. One of my favorite kind of, once again, I think that was in the 90s, somewhere in there.
That long ago?
Dude, can you stop? Can you just stop, all right?
did they have to crank the movie? The projector?
Someone's back there.
You have to keep saying that year. I mean, oh,
Hey,
Might
but I
have been
can't.
88.
most of
Jeez,
the-
was The Fly? I'm
was
going to look
that
it up.
80? No.
I think it could have been late 80s.
yeah, that sounds about right.
I think
It was early 90s.
No, I think it was 80s.
86.
Yeah.
Oh,
86.
Like mid
There you go.
80s.
Yeah.
when did The Fly 2 come out?
Oh man, come on. No one.
Yeah, don't.
Fly what?
Don't do that. Don't tell anyone. Don't watch Fly 2. No.
I'd say watch it. Can't promise anything.
Google it.
Yeah, right.
I
So,
do remember seeing the original Fly when I was fairly young.
me.
And that ending. Oh my gosh.
the original. Is that
Vincent
50s?
Price.
Yeah, right. Late 50s. Yeah, and Invasion of the Body Snatchers, the original. The 70s,
Ah,
the 70s one
that
was really
one
good.
always freaks me out. Yeah.
The other one that was cool was like the Blob. Like I haven't seen a
Blob
new
is-
Blob movie in a while. Like you had that kind of
The colored
This
one,
thing.
the colored version of it, because the black and white was the original,
That's
and then
right,
they
yep.
made like first color one. I remember watching it on Fox,
Yeah,
like
yep.
way back in the day,
Yep.
and then that messed me up. But any body horror I love,
Yeah,
but just, those ones were just,
some
yeah.
gelatinous thing just takes you over. It's like Jello attacking you.
Or like
I
the
don't know what
stuff.
Jello. I love the stuff. You're the
Yep.
first person to mention the stuff.
Yep.
That is one of my favorites. Where I mean, it's also like people just eating some stuff that bubbles out the
Yeah.
ground. Let me just eat
Yeah,
this.
like I mean, I kind of want to know how the sausage is made. I'm gonna eat this before I know. It makes me think of Cool Whip when that was like,
Yes, or the
And then-
what is it? Fluff, the marshmallow whip stuff. What's it called?
Oh,
Fluff?
yeah.
Fluff,
Yep.
fluffer,
Yeah.
fluffer, or whatever. It's not
I mean-
fluffer. That's
Joe, what was that one more time?
I watched that, I want to say a couple years ago, and it's just, that's gonna make me look at food differently.
Yeah.
And it's just,
Yeah.
and it's funny too, because I was gonna be a nutrition major before, way back. So then I'm looking at Cool Whip, the hydrogenated oils, and then you watch the stuff, and I'm like, okay, so now that's a whole other thing I got to worry about.
yeah. When that came out, once again, I think that was in the late 80s. Ultra processed foods, things like that, hadn't reached a kind of the zeitgeist of consciousness as it has now, and people are really thinking about it. And, these are unhealthy. Maybe we shouldn't be eating these things or putting crazy dyes and everything.
Although we went ahead and did
Whoa,
it.
the 90s,
And we
they
didn't
had
do
some
it.
crazy dyes and things.
We did. That's what I'm saying.
Well,
I think
but
that it
he's
was
saying-
the moral warning. Oh,
and we did
you
not
should.
take
Right.
the
We
warning.
did not take the
and
warning.
we should have.
ignored it. It was a B movie, so it
I don't
wasn't.
think enough people saw
Yeah,
it.
it was no Avatar, so that's
People seen Avatar? What?
the $1.5 billion worth of people have seen it. Yes,
I can't sci-fi, but that's like, I'm a stickler in my ways, where it's just, I can't do sci-fi. Like I did my first,
no.
like,
Why not?
science
That's what's wrong with
story.
sci-fi.
but I don't, that's where, again, I'm a nerd, like in disguise, but sci-fi is just, I play Pokemon.
Yeah. We have a lot of
but-
sci-fi too that cross over into horror. So it's
Yeah.
not like you got to be straight sci-fi. So I think sci-fi gets a bad rap because of like hard sci-fi, where, an author or whatever, they'll spend many pages describing the engine design and it's not plot driven or not character driven. I think there's a lot of sci-fi that now, especially in speculative, if you want to separate it out,
Or
where you do have these kind of
dystopian.
dystopian, where you do have these stories that kind of go, and then you have all the crossovers where you're mixing it with horror, you're mixing it with fantasy. And so I do think I think sci-fi got this kind of bad rap, but really it's a very horror. I
It
was
could
just
be-
talking about horror, right?
Like Dead
yeah.
Space is one of like my favorite games ever. I
Love
played all
that game.
I played like the Callisto other one.
Oh,
that,
Callisto Protocol?
Like I played all those. Like Annihilation was great. That's and all that. And it's funny, I had to write my first two sci-fi
Mhm.
horror stories, and the first, again, movies from the 1900s. I did The Son of Barbarella, so I made Barbarella's very love-friendly son. He has the same taste of his mother, we'll say that. So it's basically that, but then I threw in like a Cthulhu tie-in with that, where it's like he's trying. The story called "Who Is My Space Daddy," and it's just he's trying to go back and find out. Trying to find out who his actual father is, because Barbarella got around. So like I tied that in, and then I did a story called "When the Moon Hits Your Eye," and it's about an asteroid that in 1969 in Hollywood it just broke apart and it hit 5 different people at the same time, and it's basically done in like a newspaper. But I somehow found a way to make it really scathing. Like one of them happened to be, a woman she's at her garden party, and she just got done kind of making racist comments towards her maids, and it just so happens the asteroid flies through her head. So I mean,
Nice.
that's the kind of stuff that my brain comes up with.
Yeah.
I don't know. Good. Good is kind of one of those.
It's got to be good, right? I mean, that's we don't have to put it in a binary category of good or bad. I think it's just
the CPD where I'm like, okay, so we're gonna be quiet. We're just gonna. It is what it is.
with it, right? So I was going to touch on one other aspect while I was doing some research for this, and it was just I like the phrasing, the uncanny valley of flesh. It's kind of, and so you guys know uncanny valley of flesh?
No.
So it's this idea that when you look at the things that are personified in the human form, that they're not quite human, and it triggers that deep unease.
Oh.
And so you go, so that's what it's called, the uncanny valley of flesh.
My
and
skin
so,
is crawling.
Who coined that?
Just thinking about it.
oh man, I don't know who. What?
Well, I mean, I'm just curious, like
I don't know
where
who
that
coined
came.
it.
Can you give examples and
Yeah, I mean, a lot of
References.
it started out with like robotics, like
Well,
making
human
robots. Yeah,
Human sex dolls is right now is
Yeah.
what
human
There's,
sex styles. There you go.
Right.
As we get back to it.
focusing on. Where, there's when you said that, I think I might actually know of the scientist she was studying that, where she was mainly talking about these human sex dolls and the uncanny, and she was saying uncanny valley as in like a sexual innuendo, but it's
Yeah.
kind of it's
It
in
was-
that vein.
It was the Japanese robotics professor Mashiro Mori in 1970.
Wow. And then
According to visual
that is
term.
just so poetic when you're thinking about now talking about AI and
Mhm.
things. That's just, yeah.
Well,
right?
so
yeah.
talk about uncanny valley.
What,
so.
he's
Yes,
like
I mean,
sleeping?
when you look at AI and you can tell that one eye is lower than the other.
That's right.
or
Yes.
the
Yes.
Finger.
It's almost I mean, I guess the thing also was that if you just had a purely alien creature that comes and it looks human-like, you accept it and you begin to think, okay, this is a human-like thing. But then even movements, like if if you have the weird girl in the hallway that runs kind of weird at you, why are you looking at me like that, Nick? You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
weird
totally. Yeah.
Or like the weird running in weapons.
That's right, in weapons, right? Any kind of that it gives
Yeah.
it causes like this it causes this kind of, you're like, hold on, something's not right, and your brain's like processing that. Maybe we should get ready to run ourselves or to fight. You're starting to process that and think about it, and it is that play where you go and the body heart. Once again, you get into this kind of thing where you're right. You have offset features or eyes or other weird appendages aren't quite placed right, and you go, hold on, they're 90% correct, but that part of it. But yeah.
Well, before you jump off that, and I know I even asked you beforehand, please don't let me say something I'm not supposed to or give away something I'm not. But I already talked about the story I did called When the Moon Hit Your Eye. One of my art pieces that I'm showing off I'm going to post it in 2 weeks. So you guys we'll call it like a little bit of a preview, but this is the art that I did for it.
Oh, nice. Oh, wow. Yeah. That has a
Dope.
very Junji Ito.
I was going for Junji Ito meets art.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
and that's
the
basically the
60s.
story where I said there was that was the garden party lady where she just got done and everyone look at me and that's part of the story where it's just, but that uncanniness, so she looked fine, but where's that other part of her head? But it's just,
Right.
that's the part that it makes my skin crawl, but also I write it and I like it and I want to make other people suffer with it. So I don't really know what that says about me, but I'm going to keep at it because I think I'm pretty good at it. So,
Yeah, I think.
and even with the art, I love how
I
I think it's beautiful, but also,
Are you working on any like graphic novel? Like, since you are an artist and you write the stories, I mean, is that
I would love to. This really just started popping up because I just started doing my own book covers. So because I had my first two covers were done by other people. And then I did my cover for Sesame Timbers, which you can kind of see the poster behind me. But so I did that one. And then I
Throw some of that in the show notes.
this is my new one that I just did the cover for. So it's called Cursed by Your Name.
Mhm.
So I did the cover and then back cover.
Yeah.
Oh,
Very
yeah.
cool. Yep. Really neat.
It's
Yep.
So this one of the that's just it's literally an office rom-com about Bloody Mary, but I'm calling it a rom-com with a body count, and it literally just it's a rom-com, but just
Body count as in
People dying.
people dying, not people
The
you
guilt-
have relations
Kill
with.
count is
Maybe
29
both.
Maybe both.
29 kill count 29 minors and 7 co-eds suffer gruesome deaths in this mini abomination.
There
So
you go.
it's a rom-com. You're gonna laugh and you're gonna feel heartstrings, but also
Yeah.
Bloody Mary. So
Kind of like like John Waters. John
You're
Waters.
just having a hard time tonight.
Is that?
John Waters.
Yeah, John. That's what I said.
You said Walters.
I said I self-corrected right immediately and said Waters.
No,
John Waters.
no, and I love him, and he's the
What'd you say?
leading. He's the leading person about disgust and
Yeah,
like
right,
making
right.
things
I love
as
John Waters.
revolting as possible.
Yeah.
And I don't know if the quote, but basically, you can't kill people in real life, but you can write about it, and
Yeah.
that's a lot
Right.
more.
Right.
That's a lot more
Therapy or
yeah.
I mean, it's safe. Yeah.
yeah.
Someone told me that my style in writing is basically John Waters
Mhm.
meets Chuck Palahniuk meets Clive Barker. That is
Nice.
like I still
Yeah.
savor that because it's very close because and they're big influences to me. But
Cool.
yeah, I would love to do the graphic novel. That's going to be something that's probably down the line. But I have so many things going on that I should not be like. I have 6 stories I'm supposed to be working on. I have to make Gig of the Damn 2, Electric Boogaloo, and I literally that's like a joke I keep saying Electric Boogaloo because that was a horrible movie, but so now I have to call it Gig of the Damn 2 Electric Boogaloo because I did it so much. But I did the artwork for, like I did in the books now I'm starting to put artwork that I've done in. So we're almost there. Like I may
Right.
have to get there,
Yeah.
but it's just weird because I was always an artist like growing up and then I had to stop because of work and all that. And this just kind of started up again. And I didn't realize it till someone told me like, oh yeah, you're an artist now. But I'm so new that it still even feels kind of weird to call myself an author. But that might be like a little bit the imposter syndrome. But if I guess you could.
Yeah.
Right,
it happens.
right.
Yeah, it happens.
Oh,
Right.
But we're getting there. But
Cool.
yeah, I have so many ideas, and it's just I gotta spit them out. So I'm having fun doing it, and I'm getting a lot of great feedback on it. So people are praising my brain. I'm like, hey mom, just so you know, people say my brain is great. And I'm not, he never said, JJ, your brain is bad, but she kind of gave me the little, the Marge noises, like I sent her this and she's, I'm afraid to say that that's beautiful, but it is, but also, I think she's
Right.
kind of secretly waiting for me to, so when are you going to start writing like normal, nice things? But also
More normal
she
things.
I'm reading her Sesame Timbers and she needs to know what happened. I told her I'm not reading you the sex scenes because that was my first erotic horror. But like
That's a horror in itself, right? So reading sex
Exactly.
scenes to your
I'm
mom.
just like,
That's a
Yeah. That's a whole new genre
me and my-
for.
me and my friend wrote a story, my first collaboration. It's called In the Club We're All Monsters. And it's literally me and my friend Asher. We're both dating Dorian Gray. And it's like The Boy Is Mine, where we don't find out till we get to the club that we're dating him. And then it just becomes like a bloodbath because there were party favors involved that tap into our biggest fears. So we have to basically fight our biggest fears. So spiders, hobos, and clowns, that's mine. And so we built it into a big, gigantic story. And I mean, it's very funny because it's just, I'm doing stuff you're not supposed to. 'Cause I love breaking a fourth wall.
Yeah.
I love writing stories you're really not supposed to, but that's kind of what my claim to fame is. So I'm just going to
That's awesome.
keep doing it. Why not?
Good job,
And
Georgia.
now you guys, you met because of Slay the Lake, right?
That was the
The
that was how
event
it,
that
right.
you
So
were-
yeah,
and-
we're gonna give. Yep. Go ahead.
No, for people that don't really know about.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Slay the Lake one is the one that it's local, so I love it. But they reached out to me and said, would you like to? And I'm like, yes, this sounds like right up my alley. And their whole thing is that they, in everything, it's hard to see diversity. It's hard to see, they're very LGBTQ plus, because again, like I said at the beginning, we're kind of told in uncertain terms, you should be more quiet, kind of tone it down. And so that's when I think, well, then guess what? I got to be like
Amp it
extra
up.
gay now, like to make up
Right.
for it.
Yeah,
So,
Right.
but their whole thing was like, they want to be inclusive, they want to celebrate diversity, and they want to support the community. And that's, I did their first event and basically all their events. So I've kind of become like their new mascot, which I'm like honored to be, because like I'm not even allowed at like family weddings or like funerals. So it's to know that like I'm being like invited to these is just, it's
That's
great.
awesome. So how long have they been?
I want to say now it's been over a year. And then, so they're doing, the next one is, I want to say it's the April
18th, I think.
Yep, I think that's it. April 18th, 19th.
Yep, April 18th.
Okay.
And that's
Yeah,
in
from-
Wisconsin, right?
Kenosha.
Have you guys been, and you've been to the Final Grow Bar?
I've not. No.
It is, so, okay. It's like a horror movie nerd's wet dream, because it's just, there's the walls, like I had all the pictures posted, like each bathroom is like, one of them is themed with just, it's all red, and then with red lights, and then the other one's green, and then there's murals everywhere, there's pictures of, they've got all these different, the pinball games with Jason, it's just all horror themed.
Hell yeah.
That's where
That's so
we did
cool.
like 2 events there, and that's where the next one's gonna be. And I'm there to work, but it's fun at the same
Yeah,
time.
I want to
like,
go.
Yeah, I think we'll
and
try
then
to
it's
make
like
it.
again, like I kind of learned like peddling my nonsense. So it's like I get to walk up, and then people walk up to me, and I'm just like, killer drag queens, lesbian nuns. I don't know how to sell.
That's all you had to
What-
say.
That's it. Right.
Georgia
Yeah,
is sold.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we had drag queens. No.
Yeah, I was gonna say I got my fan that I had to get made.
There it is.
It's like
Nice.
so that's kind of what I'm known for. So yeah,
Yeah,
been-
and
it's been-
Yeah, and to be around that community
Yeah.
and people that are fans of that just has to be just such a great.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll put all that. We'll put in the show notes that comes out so people know where to go and go make it up there in episode, just a couple
That's
days.
the one
So
I wouldn't have thought. You think when you're going to become an author that you're going to, you don't think about the social aspect. You got to be on social media. You have to do
Right.
all that. These are the one things where I'm just like, it feels nice because it's like it's a safe space, but also like you're being basically celebrated because it's like, yep, we're
Right,
going to,
right.
we got stuff to say. We have books to put out, and they've been very supportive. And all the authors that we've had, like AJ Humphreys, we've had Cynthia Paleo,
She was there.
like,
Uh-huh.
I mean,
I just finished her book.
Yeah, I was at
I
it was at the one in Tinley Park more recently.
Yeah.
So last year,
Yep,
in
that
the
was
last year.
awesome.
So
we
yeah, it was a
always
fun
have,
event.
drag queen there. We had drag king that was Krampus.
That's right.
awesome.
Yeah,
Market,
yeah.
Yeah.
They I even told them like, you guys are new at this. You guys are doing a great job. So
That's
I'm very
awesome.
I'm very
Yeah.
lucky that I kind of became a mascot. So it's been anyone that I can get to that I don't have worker school, I will be there. But I will.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so much fun.
Yeah, that was Georgie. I mean, that Jesse Rose. That's who I knew from and connected Phrique and I.
Yeah,
so
that's
that was kind of the
nice, yeah.
connection. So yeah, she was doing that, and
Jesse and Reeb, they're killing it. So now,
Yep.
like I said, I'm the mascot. So why not?
cool.
And From Beyond Press was part of it too.
From Beyond Press was there, right? Yep.
Yeah.
So Mike was there
So that's a nice
from Beyond Press.
connection,
Yep. Yep. So and
So I mean, the whole thing is that I think we had 200 pounds of like food that we donated from the Krampus market.
Yeah.
A lot of that one goes towards their LGBTQ center, Lake County, then the Trans Law Center. I mean, it's really can't. I mean, it sounds like giving a commercial, but it's like I'm proud to be. I'm writing such terrible, horrible things, but I mean, it's giving back too. So
Yeah.
that's what it's about. I mean, I think that's part of it in the community, and writing and art can be a very solo, isolating event when you get in your creative space. So to go out, like you said, and find like-minded people who in a safe space, you can celebrate your work, celebrate other people who are, has
say
a diverse message.
and say,
it's not,
screw it. We're
that's
not
right.
going to be
That's right.
afraid. I mean, that's, yeah.
Especially in these times where
Especially these times.
When
it's
they
a
want-
real horror
Together.
story
That's
now.
a real horror
And-
story. We're living
and
it.
they
We
want-
prepared from the 80s, 70s, and 80s movies have prepared us for today. We're ready to go. I just need some
I don't
zombies.
know. I'm not feeling very
Some zombies
prepared.
show up. I'm in my mode, man.
So think that
But that's what-
1900
I mean, but that's what everything is telling you. Be afraid right
Yeah,
now.
right.
And so, if you can give people this kind of,
You gotta be the one that's, you know what, it's gonna work out.
Screw
when
it,
the
we're
sun
gonna-
comes up, that's all we gotta make it to is the daytime. That's what the horror movies have taught us. That make it to the daytime, and you're gonna be the final person.
and there's going to
Man,
be,
that's gonna really suck.
All right, we're gonna come into the end of this horror fest.
Yep.
Any last thoughts, Nick? You always have
Yeah.
something.
So, what would be the one phobia that has happened in real life for you? How open are you feeling? You want to share your scared times?
I mean,
Have you had any?
I'm gonna come off looking terrible because again, I have hobophobia, which is fear of hobos, and I feel terrible because it doesn't make any sense. But it's almost like they know it. So in the city, it just so happens they kind of seek me out, and it's just I kind of lock up. But no, I'm like no clowns. It's kind of one of those. I'm the type where if you scare me, I'm not like, ooh, I'm scared. Like I'm gonna punch you. It's one of those. Get away from me. No. Luckily, no. But I'm not gonna go to these haunted houses and have someone jump out at me because you're asking me to.
Right.
Go.
That's
I'm
right.
not gonna do it. But no, I will say, luckily, and I hope, knock on wood, I got my wood still. Not that I could report.
They have for the listeners, you have a horror movie book that you would go, here's a couple you should just watch if you're not into the genre, maybe, let's say that, something that.
Well, just off the top of my head, The Monkey was great. I love When Evil Lurks. That's one of my like my new favorite one now. It was High Tension before, but When Evil Lurks was just great. Giallo wise, like old stuff, Blood and Black Lace is great. Deep Red, anything. But again, I'm a nerd. Don't get me started on that stuff. Cheerleader
Sorry.
Camp. Like if you want like a perfect, this is what a slasher like epitome. That's that.
Cool.
And book-wise, I would just say Haunter by Charlie Jacob, Clive Barker, anything like
Clive Barker.
for someone who makes fun of the 1900s so much, I sure like all that stuff. So
what about you, Nick?
I'm gonna go video game route. I'm gonna say Resident Evil. Which one? I'd say 7, which is Biohazard. That
That
one
one
is.
say Doom, man. Come on, let's go classic.
I'm not on the floppy disk, but I do love Doom.
It wasn't a
So,
floppy
do you
disk.
have a phobia?
Honestly, I think it is just major crowds. Never been one to be like,
Oh, I can
Yeah.
feel that.
yeah, I'm good with small crowds. So once
Right,
it gets
right.
real big, I'm like, all right, my anxiety's up.
Yeah.
I think more than 4 people.
Georgia?
I don't know. I think one of my greatest phobias is being in water over my, deep water. I'm really scared of that. Yeah.
Media.
Well, like I already said, Rosemary's Baby and The Shining, but
What about you, Joe?
Yeah, phobias. I'm not a big crowd person either. I don't know if I have a phobia. I
It's
just
a
like
weird-
it. Yeah, it's like
yeah.
kind of. But you're right. I don't seek it out. Like people go, let's go
but
to this
yeah,
parade or whatever.
But you
I
like
don't.
these big cons.
Yeah, I do.
And
Right. So I go.
always-
Right. I do go to places with a lot of people. There's things I don't like, and probably a lot of it is watching horror movies too young. I was just telling George, I don't like beach. I like going to the beach. Let's say that. I don't like hanging out at the beach. But when I was younger, Blood Beach, if you know that movie from the 80s. Yeah. So go check that out if you want some beach. But it's one of these things. So it is kind of, but you get over it. I think like heights in a little bit. I don't like the VR game where you got to walk off on that plank. Oh, that freaks me out. I know it's not real. Like we didn't talk about VR and virtual stuff, but you go out, but it actually helped me. Like when I go clean gutters now, I did that game a few times and it desensitized me. 'Cause in my head, I was like, I'm okay. But yeah, I don't really like heights. It's kind of, that freaks me out. Except I wanted to go skydiving. It's kind of weird.
You want to go skydiving?
I do. I did.
Are we gonna
now,
do-
now I
oh.
don't know. I've passed the age
Come on, Joe.
of skydiving.
Not just-
Yeah,
like,
that's right. Yeah.
Let's see
I
how
don't
well that ticker's going.
That's right. Let's go. Yeah, and then media-wise, you guys know.
Yeah.
Everybody knows, listen to the show knows. It's going to be the thing.
Oh,
Go
that's
watch
not what
the
I was
thing.
going to think you were saying.
Well, I mean, what do you think I was going to say?
Don't worry about it.
Oh, I'm worried now.
Like-
No phobia.
like the remake, like the edition.
Oh, the prequel version of 20. It wasn't bad. I think it added. I think it added to the canon, but it wasn't. Yeah, the original is it. Go watch it. It has its moments. I think even if you're not a super hard horror fan, I just think the psychological aspects of it, that's what horror, it kind of embodies that. And sets a tone, I think, for the 80s horror and what horror could be. I think it's a classic for a reason. It's got into the National Registry of Film. So it's now taking its place as a classic. So yeah, I really do. But if you're going to go like more comedic, Evil Dead, I'm just going to run in there, and that's another one you can watch. And it starts out super serious.
And I don't think
It's like-
Evil Dead meant to be funny.
I don't think it did. No, it did not. And I think
they're-
Chris Cam, and they said
there's
that.
quite a few that-
Yeah. But it was like the first one, you could tell they were really trying to be serious, but it went off the rails. And when it went off the rails, then Evil
It
Dead
worked
2,
so much
3,
better.
yeah, it was
perfect.
just, this is a horror comedy. Let's full into it and
Yeah.
go for it. And,
Yeah.
and then you had that, you just started getting into the splatterpunk kind of elements of it, especially in the later one. So yeah, no, I think from there, but yeah, I can go on.
I'd probably say like book, more recent. Well, there's probably tons, but Only Good Indians.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. Yes. Yeah.
That was
So
a good one.
good.
Yeah. But yeah.
Anyway,
Cool.
Hell yeah.
I had to get something.
Well,
in
thanks,
there.
Phrique.
Yeah. Yeah.
Georgia had to go back to her.
Yeah. So once again, Slay the Lake, April 18th. So go out, support a lot of great authors, artists are going to be out there. It's a fun time. I've been to the one Slay the Lake, so this is a really fun kind of event. So, and support. So you're supporting a lot of good causes going there. So yeah, check it out. But it was great having you on, and come back when you have some more time. You get done. You want to talk some psychology of horror again?
I'm a nerd. I could
We
talk
can
about
do it.
this.
Yeah.
all
So.
day. I appreciate it.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
So you've got me, Joe. You've got Nick.
Georgia.
You've got Georgia.
And we went down.
Stay curious. Stay safe.
Bye-bye.